The desert night shimmered under the glow of neon signs that buzzed outside the Rusted Wing, a roadside biker bar where engines and egos collided. Rows of gleaming Harley Davidsons lined the dirt parking lot, their chrome catching the last traces of the setting sun. Inside, laughter mixed with the low rumble of engines and the clinking of beer bottles. The Hells Angels Nevada chapter had gathered for their annual ride, a sacred night for the Brotherhood. Among them was Rex Steele Donovan, the leader, tall, scarred, with a beard streaked silver and eyes that could freeze fire. His pride was his bike, a 1972 Harley Davidson Panhead, custom-built, painted in matte black with blood-red flames curling over the tank. It wasn't just a machine. It was a legend, but tonight, when Rex twisted the throttle, the beast coughed once, growled weakly, and died. Silence swept across the parking lot. Every angel turned their head, half in disbelief, half in amusement. Steele's bike just gave up the ghost. One of them laughed. Rex frowned, jaw tightening. He tried again. Nothing but a hollow click and a dying rattle. A crowd formed, men shaking their heads. The local mechanic, Tommy Sparks, came over wiping his greasy hands on a rag. He peeked under the seat, fiddled with the spark plug, then shrugged. "She's done, boss." The engines fried. Rex's face darkened like thunder. "Nobody says my Harley's dead." That's when a calm, confident voice cut through the murmurs. "Maybe it's not dead. Maybe you're just looking in the wrong place." Everyone turned. Standing at the edge of the lot was a woman, mid-20s, denim overalls stained with oil, a wrench tucked into her belt. Her name was Mara Lane, a traveling mechanic who'd stopped by for gas and a soda. The bikers snickered. "You think you can fix Steele's Harley?" "Unjeered," Mara smiled, unbothered. "I don't think." "I know." Rex crossed his arms. "All right, sweetheart," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You fix her before sunrise and I'll pay you $1 million. But if you fail—" Mara wiped her hands, meeting his glare. "If I fail, I'll walk away quietly." The challenge had begun, and every man in that lot knew they were about to witness something unforgettable. The bar lights dimmed as the desert air cooled. A ring of roaring bikers surrounded Mara and the silent Harley, their leather jackets reflecting firelight from a burning oil drum nearby. The hum of insects and the crackle of flames filled the space between laughter and doubt. Mara rolled up her sleeves and knelt beside the Harley, running her hand gently over the fuel tank as if feeling for a pulse. "Beautiful piece of work," she murmured. But whoever last touched her didn't listen to what she was trying to say. The men exchanged glances, some amused, others intrigued. Rex watched from a distance, arms crossed, his cigarette glowing red in the dark. "You've got until sunrise," he reminded her. Without another word, Mara got to work. She opened her tool bag, a collection of worn, well-loved instruments, and began disassembling parts with precision. Bolts clinked onto the dirt, wires gleamed in the dim light. She moved with the rhythm of someone who had done this 1,000 times, her hands steady, her focus unshakable. Hours passed. The bikers' jokes faded into quiet murmurs. One by one they leaned in, curious. She drained the fuel line, checked compression, rewired the ignition coil, and replaced a burnt-out gasket she had fashioned from scrap rubber. Her resourcefulness impressed even the most skeptical. At one point, Rex approached. "You got guts, I'll give you that," he said, voice rough with reluctant respect. "But this engine's older than you. It's been rebuilt 5 times. Nobody's made it purr since last year's ride." Mara smirked. "Then maybe it's time someone listens instead of forcing it." She adjusted a valve, twisted the throttle slightly and closed her eyes, listening to the faint click of metal settling into place. By midnight, she had stripped the Harley down to its bones and reassembled it piece by piece. Her hands black with grease, her eyes glowing with determination. When she tightened the final bolt, she whispered softly, "Come on, girl. Talk to me." The crowd held its breath as she turned the key. Nothing. A ripple of laughter spread. Rex shook his head, turning away, but Mara's expression didn't change. She knelt again, adjusted one last screw, and said calmly, "Now, she's ready." The challenge wasn't over. It had just reached its breaking point. The clock on the bar wall ticked past 3 a.m. The fire in the oil drum had burned low, casting flickering shadows across the circle of men. The once boisterous crowd had grown quiet, curiosity replacing mockery. Mara stood, wiping her hands on a rag streaked black with oil, her face glistening under the faint orange glow. The Harley sat before her, reassembled, sleek, silent, waiting. Rex exhaled a cloud of smoke, flicked his cigarette into the dirt and stepped forward. "Last chance, sweetheart," he said, voice low and rough. "If she doesn't start now, it's over." Mara looked up at him, her gaze steady. "Engines don't fail," she said softly. "People stop believing in them." She straddled the Harley, turned the key, and for a moment the world seemed to hold its breath. Then the first light of dawn crept across the desert horizon, painting the sky in soft hues of gold and crimson. The once rowdy Hell's Angels stood in stunned silence, the roar of the Harley still echoing in their minds. The bike purred beside Mara like a loyal beast, its engine humming a perfect rhythm, alive, proud, and powerful. Rex Steele Donovan took a slow step forward, disbelief etched across his weathered face. The crowd parted for him as he stopped in front of Mara, his eyes locked on the bike, then on her. "I don't believe it," he muttered. "You didn't just fix her. You brought her back from the dead." Mara gave a small smile, her voice calm. "Machines break when people stop caring." All she needed was someone who still believed in her spirit. For a long moment Rex said nothing. Then he reached into his leather jacket and pulled out a thick, weathered envelope. "A deal's a deal," he said, holding it out. $1 million, cash." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mara stared at the envelope, then shook her head. "Keep your money," she said quietly. "I didn't do it for that," Rex frowned. "Then why?" She looked at the Harley, sunlight glinting off the chrome, then back at him. "Because I love engines. Because people always underestimate what's broken until it roars again." For the first time, a slow smile spread across Rex's face. He tucked the envelope away and extended his hand. "You ever need a place to ride? The Angels will always have your back." Mara hesitated only a second before shaking his hand, her grip firm. "Appreciate it," she said. "But I ride alone." As the bikers watched her walk away toward her old pickup truck, the sun climbed higher, casting a golden halo around her silhouette. She started the truck, revved the engine, and it responded with the same fierce spirit she had just given to the Harley. Rex watched her drive off down the dusty road, a look of deep respect in his eyes. "Boys," he said quietly, turning to his men, "we just met the best damn mechanic alive." The Harley rumbled beside him, alive once more, a legend reborn. Thanks to the woman who refused to lose faith in the power of broken things. Like, subscribe, comment and share, channel Soul of Kindness, aim a sound, a deep metallic cough. Another turn, another sputter. The bikers exchanged knowing glances. "Told you," one muttered. "Dead for good." But Mara wasn't done. She adjusted the choke, twisted the throttle, and whispered, "You've got one more fight left, don't you, old girl?" She hit the ignition again. This time, the silence shattered. The Harley roared to life with a thunderous growl, the kind that vibrated through the ground and up into the chest. Flames flickered from the exhaust, the pipe screaming raw power into the desert night. The Angel stumbled back wide-eyed. The dead bike had been reborn, not just fixed but transformed. Rex's jaw dropped slightly, his cigarette forgotten in the dirt. The engine's rhythm was smooth, fierce, and alive, a perfect heartbeat of metal and fire. The crowd broke into shocked cheers, some clapping, others shouting disbelief. "How in hell did you do that?" One biker shouted over the roar. Mara just smiled, revving the throttle until the Harley's growl echoed off the mountains. "She was choking on her own past," she said. "I just helped her breathe again." Rex stepped closer, awe and pride mixing in his eyes. "You're no ordinary mechanic," he said. Mara climbed off, handed him the keys, and replied simply, "Neither are your bikes." The Angels stared at her, the woman who had done the impossible. For the first time that night, the king of the Hells Angels had nothing to say. The roar of the engine said it all.